So there are multiple ways to filter. The easiest is to directly drag a field into the filter section. For example, we can drag category into the filter section. We'll select all and click apply and OK. And then we can drag category into color. We can do sum of shipping into our size, and then we can do product names in the details. We can also add an interactive filter. We select a field and then we can do show filter. For example, we can click on order priority and we can do show filter. So here we can either filter by technology, office supplies, furniture. We can also, filter all critical orders, and we can filter just for low orders, for example. The filter does not have to be a field in the view. The filter is now on the filter shelf. We can filter on the visual by right-clicking a value and clicking keep only or exclude. So let's say we did this. We can do keep only, exclude. We can also double-click a selection to keep only that selection. Some legends also have this feature through right-clicking. So if we double-click this, I think it works better on bar charts. So if we put this in the columns, maybe we do a category in the rows, and then we'll switch to aggregate. So if we double click furniture, it'll drill into there. Let's talk more about using the filter shelf. We can drag into the filter shelf and apply a filter dialog. So again, why don't we just remove these for now? And I can show it by adding in market into the filter. And from here, we can either do select all. We can also, so if we do this, apply and OK, we can edit our filter by right-clicking here and clicking edit filter. And so we can also do exclude. So maybe we want all except for Africa or all except for Asia. We can select both of these and then do exclude. So it'll exclude just those two and it'll show us the other three. We can make sure every value is included by just clicking use all at the top. Wildcard section allows us to do fuzzy matching. So here we can put in a value that contains a certain value. So for example, we can do the letter A. Condition allows us to filter based on a condition. We can add a field, or we can enter the equation ourselves. For example, we might want to do quantity is on average greater than 1. We could also do the formula by hand here. So let's just do that, apply. Okay. If we drag a measure into the filter, we are prompted with an aggregate field wizard. So let's drag in sales into the filter, and we will get an aggregate field wizard. We'll click all values, and a new dialog will show about which values we want to include. We can do a range of values. This is going to set a lower and upper bound. At least is like a greater than. At most is like a less than. And special is used to filter out nulls. When we filter a date, so I'll cancel this for a second. And if we find a date such as ship date, when we drag this into our filter, we will get a couple options. We can either do relative date or range of date. We can also filter on discrete dates as well. Relative dates by default are anchored today, but can be adjusted. So we can set to yesterday, tomorrow, in the last 3 days, next 3 days. And then, the rest works the same way. All right, let's talk about formatting. We can adjust properties of our marks even when no field is using the mark. For example, we can click on size and change the size of our visual. We can turn on our labels by clicking, by ticking the label box or in the toolbar. So here we can turn on the labels, or we can do here. I believe there should be you can do it here as well as an analysis. We can also drag a field to the label mark. For example, sum of profit. And that will show a different value than what this value is. This makes, if we click on the label now, this will also make this text available to us. We can click on the 3 dots and we can edit the text. And so we can say, to make it clear, we can write profit. Do apply, okay. We can manually determine labels by right-clicking a point in the graph and clicking Mark Label. In this case, we can set Always Show. So let's change this to a line chart. Let's put sales in the y-axis. And we can also put category into color. And we'll put ship date into the rows. Do you think we want to aggregate? This looks kind of funny though. We'll switch these around. There we go, that looks a little better. And then we can kind of expand out. That's fine. So what I was saying is we can take a label. Let's turn off these labels. We can right click it and we can do mark label and we can do always show. So that particular point will always show. We can also add annotations or text to a chart. A point or area annotation stays in the same relative position of the view regardless of a mark. A mark annotation must follow that mark. So if we, again, right click a point and we click annotate, we can do a mark, point, or area. We can edit an annotation by right-clicking that annotation and clicking edit. We can enter in a text to accompany the fields that make up the point. So as you see, we have the default text here. Maybe we want to left justify. Go ahead and click OK. Once we have that annotation, we can right-click. We can also format the annotation by right-clicking and clicking Format. Last, the tooltip creates a hover-based information window. We can drag fields not being used in the view to the tooltip, but the tooltip will automatically include other fields used in the visual. We can edit the tooltip a little bit more instead of just the regular. So we could say something like this. We can also include command buttons and show tooltip. Go ahead and click OK. So now you can see our line is showing up if we include a market, for example, in our visual for selection. The market will now show up if we include order priority into color. Obviously not a great visualization, but now we can show you the features. We can also format filters too. Again, the format pane will open. So if we go to filters, we do, or if we right click and we do format, we should be able to format our filters. So yeah, we can change the title and the body of our legends. We can edit the format of an axis by right-clicking on the axis and clicking Edit Axis. A new dialog will appear. We can do automatic independent access for each row and column, uniform access for all rows and columns are fixed. This allows us to set tick marks, the scale, and the range of the axis. For map visuals, there are special formatting options for the underlying maps to street geography, etc. So we can switch map layers, map options if we do country as colors. We should be able to change the map legend as well, but all right. But yeah, we will obviously have the map layers and map options. In the formatting pane, we can open the formatting pane by right-clicking a filter, legend, or visual by clicking Format in the top ribbon. And we can also adjust here. So here's our filters. We can format the legends, etc. This will open the formatting pane over the data pane. It must be manually closed. It will switch based on what we have selected. So if we open it up again and we do filters, we click on, maybe we remove this. No, okay. If we click the white space in the visual, we'll get non-specific formatting options, such as font, alignment, font alignment, shading, borders, and lines. Font is worksheet font, sized, text color. Worksheet pane, header, tooltip, title. We can also adjust, the size of the font, the text color, the tooltip, and totals. We can work at the sheet, rows, or columns level. The next icon in the formatting pane is alignment. We can format the pane alignment such as marks and labels. So if we go to header, for example, we can then switch the alignment here. We can change the direction, wrap in vertical. We can also format headers. The third icon is shading. Here we show the row banding formatting options. So we can show band size, etc. The fourth option is borders. These are the lines that surround visuals, headers, etc. We can change line thickness, type, color, and where it applies. Level applies to hierarchy levels where lines will apply. The last option is lines. This refers to trend lines, grid lines, etc. These are distinctly different than the border that we worked on earlier. We can also copy and paste formatting. Right click on the sheet tab and click copy formatting. On the destination, right click the sheet tab and click paste formatting. Formatting is done on in the formatting pane and will copy and paste. Formatting done in the view will not. So here we can right click or on this page and we can do paste formatting. So any formatting done here will get copied, but formatting done here will not. There are also workbook-wide formatting options. So if we click Format, we click Workbook, we can then adjust formatting based on the entire workbook. Yeah. Next, we'll talk about basic tooltips. By default, fields used in the viz will add a tooltip. For example, we can add a category, to the color. We can do sales in our y-axis. And again, we might in our columns. So again, we can click on the tooltip to edit our tooltip. We can add some words. So let's put this here. We'll say in So we can create a sentence like that. So we do a tooltip. Oh, it looks like I spelled some things wrong. So wrong. There we go. So yeah, we can also format text specifically using the GUI. So if we go into, again, our tooltip, we can make our amount a little bit bigger and bolded. You have an extra caret in there, but it's fine for now. Every instance of a discrete field in the tooltip can be selected to filter data in the visual. By clicking a mark, we are given command options such as include, exclude, group, set, or see underlying data. We can also add custom actions. Actions are executed by clicking. Here we would want to do, actions are executed by clicking. So if we click on a point, I guess we don't have any action set, so we'll have to add some in a bit. Let's talk about vises within a tooltip. To insert a viz into the tooltip, edit the tooltip, clear the default tooltip, and click insert sheets, and then we can insert a visual from a different sheet, for example, sheet 1. We can edit the tooltip size in the generated text. So I know it won't make sense, but we'll include this one. And here we can edit the tooltip size, max height and max width. We can also set the viz of the tooltip to entire view to fit whatever the window is in. So we do here, we can set sheet 1, and we can set the entire view. So when we hover over it, we'll now see a tooltip using this point to filter the previous visual by whatever our selection is. We can also change the dialog of the tooltip editor to change which filters are applied to the tooltip. For example, we edit the tooltip. You can see here we have our filter is all fields. In the case, we can switch all fields to specify filters to carry through. When choosing a color, we can sample from reports to match colors as well. So here, we can do pick screen color, and we can sample this color so we can stay consistent across our report. So yeah. Next, we'll talk about trend lines. To create a trend line, click on, we're gonna cut this back one, and let's make a scatter chart. So we'll remove year, and we'll add another discount and sales, and then we're gonna click analysis, aggregate measures. We'll get rid of category here. It looks like our discounts are a little too discrete, so I'm going to actually remove this. And we'll put in our, maybe profit will look a little better. From here, we can add in a trend line by clicking on the analytics pane next to the data pane. And then we can add in a trend line here. All we have to do is drag it to the page and then choose what kind of regression. We can do a linear, logarithmic, exponential, polynomial, or power. I'm going to guess exponential on this one. We can also drag trend lines off. Trend lines exist per pane per dimension. In order to reduce the number of trend lines, we must edit the trend lines, right click, and then select trend lines, edit trend line. So let's say we were to put category into color. And then we were to do analytics and we did trend line again. Maybe we do polynomial this time. You'll see that we have a different trend line per category. In order to edit this, we need to right click, do edit all trend lines. And then we can uncheck the factors to eliminate, the different trend lines. Another way we could do this is if we were editing trend lines. We can keep this factor in, but we don't need to allow a trend line per color. We can also uncheck show confidence bands, or we can add them in. We can also change the model type from this dialog as well. So if we kind of hold this over here, we can kind of get a preview of what all the different trend lines would look like. If we hover over a trend line, we will be able to see the R-squared and the p-value. The R-squared is a measure of fit. They range from 0 to 1. We want as close to 1 as possible. P-values are the probability our model is wrong. A low p-value is good. Residuals are the distance from the line or the error. We can get these by going to Worksheet, Export Data. And here we can then export the residuals as a file and then re-import it. Hold on, let me check the file type. MDB. So once we import the residuals, we can then re-import that into our sheet and use that in our visuals. Next, we'll talk about reference lines. Similar to trend lines, we can add in reference lines. If we go to, we'll go back to this sheet, we'll stay on this one. If we go to analytics, we can then add in reference lines. Similarly, we have to drag them in. And yeah, for example, we can do it by the pane or by the entire box. In this case, we'll do a line for the entire box, and we'll just click OK. And you'll see our averages down here. We can change what type of reference line by target aggregation and formatting. In addition to formatting options in the Edit Reference Line dialog box, we can edit them through Toolbar Format Reference Lines. We can add different kinds of reference lines. A reference line is a single line. A reference band consists of 2 lines, a minimum and a maximum. A distribution line band shows a calculated area. So this is talking about when we drag in a reference line, we can do reference line, a reference band, or a distribution band. And a box plot shows a minimum, maximum, and quartiles. We can also create drop lines, lines that show where a point fits on an axis. Right-click a point, and we can do show drop lines. So that's kind of showing us where it actually fits. And we can determine whether we want 1 or 2 drop lines as well. All right, that's it for now. Next, we'll talk about explain data, but I'll save that for the next video. All right, thank you.